Balance patch time coming at the end of May 2025 for Summoners War. Let's see if it's gonna change the meta or really affect anything at all. Usually, they don't really do much until like 4 months later. But anyway, let's take a look at the first big paragraph we have right here. We have a lot of family getting bonus speed. So first we have the Grim Reaper, 3 more speed for all attribute. Not too crazy. It would be nice, but I don't think it's too important. Giant's Warrior, 3 more speed for all attributes. So Skogo and Trishar is going to be enjoying that a whole lot. The other elements, not really. Rune Blacksmith, 3+ speed for all attribute. So easier to speed tune in your speed dungeon team, potentially, but also not crazy. Cobalt Bomber, speed +2 for all attribute, I think. Not too bad. So Bearing is like below 100 base speed, and now it's gonna be, I think, 101 base speed. Not too bad, because you can use Bearing like a budget Gianna kind of thing in siege content. That'll be a usable angle right there for the Cobalt Bomber. The other version, I don't think really need the speed boost anyway. Undying, 3 speed for all attribute. Undying, maybe the Dark One is going to be enjoying that a lot, because the Dark One is usually paired with Speed Lead and Leo. So using the Dark One to outspeed is going to be a bit easier. For Delphoy, would be nice as well to speed tune in my Leo comp, but not too important. Other than that, the other Undying don't really care too much about. So next up, Espresso Cookie. I don't use any of that. Oh wait, the light one get used in siege defense for a while, but she kind of go in and out of the meta, but maybe with a bit more speed like this, maybe it's gonna go back into the meta. Desert Queen, okay, speed +2 for all attribute. So that is like a half speed roll for segment, which could be pretty crazy, but Stead is getting a bit faster as well, which is gonna be a bit easier compared to before. Other than that, Hathor, not a huge fan. Nephthys get a mini buff, and Isis get a mini buff as well, but I wouldn't say it is like super important. But the most important one is definitely gonna be Sekhmet, and then Bastet get a nice little bonus. Fairy King, speed +3. Fairy King, wait, hold up, that would make Ganymede really fast. But then nobody build Ganymede for like a turn 1 contest unit, because enemy could be on full will, and then Ganymede doesn't really do anything. But maybe because the meta shift all the time, maybe Ganymede with more speed is going to be very terrifying in arena defense, for example, or maybe siege defense, for example, or maybe it's going to come back into the meta. That will make Ganymede go back to the meta. Samath, not too important. The Fire Ganymede, what's his name again? I can't remember. The Fire Samath, Fire Ganymede. There's no live chat for me to ask right now. 3 more speed, not too bad. That's pretty cool as well. Oberon with 3 more speed, not too bad. And the biggest buff might be to Nyx, the Dark Fairy King, because usually Nyx is very slow. So with the 3 more speed in there, on the best Despair set, Nyx can be very strong. Potentially. Okay? Potentially. We don't know just yet. But I feel like Nyx is gonna go from like whatever tier he is to the next tier, because he's not like way faster now, potentially. M Bison Slayer, 3 more speed. Ooh, that is a straight up huge buff for Craig, the attack by booster. I think for Colonel, for the Wind Bison, it's gonna be great for them as well. Cigar getting 3 more speed, easy to speed tune. 101 base speed Cigar is pretty cool. And the other Bison is gonna be enjoying that too, but I don't think that's gonna be too important. Craig and Cigar though, huge buff for them. Druid, 3 more speed. They are all kind of a bruiser setup. Volantis with 3 more speed can be kind of terrifying. Pater with 3 more speed can be something else as well. So the LD Druid is going to be enjoying that the most. The other Druid, nice to have. Definitely like all unit getting more speed is already nice to have. But I think for Volantis and Pater, that's going to matter so much more, because you kind of have to speed tune them in a certain way. Totemis with 2 more speed. So Riley's gonna be faster, annoying for like casual player, early game player for Riley on defense. The other Totemis, I think the light one is already very strong and underrated. It's gonna be even stronger. Maya get a buff, but nobody really care about that. And then the fire one is gonna be enjoying that as well, because she's an AoE stripper, so more speed, easy to speed tune. But the healer Totemis, not super important, nice to have. So overall, this might be shifting a certain group unit back into the meta or just being way stronger, like Fire as a Queen, Light Druid, we have Dark Undyne, and then we have Fairy King as well. So the 5-star getting bonus speed is kind of huge. This is like a soft speed awakening kind of vibe here, because usually when you look at the balance patch, you are always looking out for a unit that gets speed awakening, but now they get a bit more speed, which is like not huge, but might be good enough to push them back into meta. So I kind of like what they're doing here. Maybe we can address some awakening in the game, you know, resistant awakening. It's kind of weird for some unit. Now let's get to the real skill changes. First, we have the Wind Zenitsu. When you take fatal damage from the enemy attack, nullify the damage taken and recover your HP by only 30%. It used to be 50% and now it's only 30%. So this is a very, very strong unit. Strong enough to get nerfed? I'm not too sure about that though, because I don't see any Irene nerf in there. So I'm not sure about nerfing this guy. I think he's okay, but I don't think he's like nerf worthy. Polar Queen Dark, this one has to be above. Reflect 40% of damage back to the enemy whenever you are attacked. So that effectively make her 10% tankier because she reflect more damage. By the way, if you reflect damage, you don't take that damage. That's why the Dark Polar Queen can feel very, very tanky. But I don't think that's gonna change how she's gonna be used, but it's just gonna make how you're using her a little bit better. But it's not like super exciting. Shadowcaster Water. Effect added. Recover your HP by 50% of damage dealt when counter-attacking. Oh, that take away the need to rune this guy on Vampire. He can be on Despair or Violent, which make him provide more utility in the team fight compared to before, because a lot of time you have to build this guy on Vampire and it doesn't do a whole lot. But now he can be built on Vile Despair and he can self-heal with his Revenge attack. So that will make Shadowcaster Water so much better. I like that. Shadowcaster Dark Shadow Trap. Wait, hold up. They're changing this unit entirely. I just made a video about this guy and they're changing him entirely. He will cast a Shadow Trap on a target after he attacked the enemy on his turn, so no revenge. Absorb the attack power of target by 50% immediately. If the target with the shadow gain a turn, you will gain the turn instead. This effect can apply up to 2 targets at the same time. Up to 2 targets at the same time? Wait, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. So if you clap the guy and then you violent proc, and then you get the skill back somehow and you clap another guy, and when they take a turn, they lose their entire bar, they can violent proc out of that, and then you get a turn. And you can absorb attack bar as well. Immediately. Oh my god. Wait, he might be one of the best turn denial monster in the game for PvP, because this guy hard counter things like Juno, Fire Monkey, that kind of thing, because that is not a debuff. You can effectively control a Juno very, very well. I think it's gonna be a very great unit to be used into bruiser situation, and he's gonna counter all that shit very, very well. 2 at a time, and then he absorbs attack power immediately. Oh my, that's like really, really good. Wow, it's gonna be terrifying fighting this guy as a turn 2 player. Another strong LD5 in the mix. Shadowcaster Light will now steal 1 buff whenever he attacks the enemy. So no longer stripping, it is now stealing. I feel like anyone who can strip are turning into stealing. I feel like, okay? Anything that can strip single target are slowly turning it into stealing. Because stripping is not strong enough, guys. You gotta be stealing. Sky Dancer Dark. Okay. How many years has it been? The damage increase as your HP status increase. Oh, so she hurt more if they have more health. That's okay. That's all right. For one-shotting in the first turn of the game, but then she doesn't really get that turn immediately anyway. She depends on the other unit to kill, to be honest. Skydancer Dark Amuse. Increase the attack bar allies with full HP by 25% instead of 20%. So a bit more boost. It might sound like I'm not grateful for the LD5, but it is. There's no way to dodge that, because the unit doesn't really have an identity in any content of the game. Okay, if you don't have Lucifer, that's gonna be even worse. So she get outclassed by 2-star unit in PvE, You have no need for her in any PvE content. In PvP, she used to have a position in Arena. But then the meta has evolved to a point where if you go first with Lucifer and her, and you go with even double Lucian, you probably don't even kill things. That's the problem. And then she has a 28% speed lead. Even you pair with Kabila, if your Swifters are not like insane, it is still very risky to outspeed Triton, for example. And then there are Tian Lang everywhere in the high rank. So you can't really use her in Arena Rush. And then if you use her in RCA, her base speed is gonna get demolished by units like Ethna, Shiho, Sekhmet, who just got a speed boost. And she doesn't get to move unless you have like 240 Swift. I probably don't have that ever in my life. You probably don't as well. So overall, she doesn't really have an identity in any content of the game. And the change that they're doing to her doesn't really change her identity at all. They just make whatever she's doing a little bit better. So she's the same unit, just a bit better. Kind of like the Dark Polar Queen buff. It's like a buff, but like doesn't really do anything. It's not very exciting. It's not like it's gonna change the unit like Dark Shadowcaster kind of vibe. So I don't know about that. Kind of yikes, to be honest. But anyway, moving on to the Pure Vanilla Cookie Pudding Princess Dark will now absorb 25% attack bar. Ooh, if she land 4 absorb, she get 100% attack bar, which means she can immediately cast the Oblivion, which can be very, very cool. But I think her weakness is usually the base speed, where she's too slow, so she can't really outspeed that easily. So when you use the Dark Pure Vanilla, you either have speed lead and the enemy doesn't, or you're fighting team that are way too slow and you don't really care about them outspeeding at all. Then that can be the position where she's very good at. But other than that, that attack bar absorption, nice to have, doesn't really change the unit at all. Devil Maiden Wind. Increase your attack bar by 20% whenever the enemy is granted with harmful effect. They're buffing Layla. You know what? Time to bring her back. Time to bring Layla back. I kind of like that. All right, UG Dark. I think this is the Obabo buff. Increase your attack power for 1 turn before attacking. Oh, making it easier for UG Dark to destroy the enemy. Would he bring it to his RTA video? We shall find out. He will. 100% he will. Nobara Water. Oh my god, they remember that this unit exists. They're changing to 50% chance. So lower chance to block enemy from removing harmful effect and 50% chance to grant suppression. Not a fan. It's only 1 turn. Like, they just have to wait 1 turn. 1 turn in this game with violent proc mechanic is like, I don't know about that. Kind of yikes. Not gonna lie. Kind of yikes. Another unit getting ignored until the end of time. Nezuko Fire Wind Light will now silence enemy for 2 turns instead of blocking them from removing harmful effect. Okay, that's probably better for them. More utility for the Fire Wind Light Nezuko. Not too important, but more utility. Inosuke Water. Okay. Decrease the attack of the enemy target by 25% with the spatial awareness. More utility for the skill 3, which is pretty useless when they don't have any more buff to strip. So we can decrease 1 enemy target attack bar 25%. Not too bad. Some more utility for this guy would be great because after the skill 3, he's kind of just sitting there, not doing a whole lot. So a small single target attack bar decrease plus instant turn to cycle back into the defense back into stun is not too bad. Probably usable soon. Fire Tanjiro. Alright. Attack all enemy to absorb their attack bar will now change to absorb their attack bar by 55% and heal block for 2 turns. Okay, so reducing the heal block from 3 turn to 2 turn and now absorb more attack bar. Not too bad, not too bad. We don't need 3 turn heal block. 2 turns, not too bad. But absorb more attack bar with a Fire Tanjiro. So Fire Tanjiro is going to be a better control unit. Plus, he has a single target ignore defense, right? Light Tanjiro would now provoke all enemy for 1 turn with each hit. I think that is the skill 3. Not too bad. But then, can he survive? Because I think for Tanjiro, getting hit is important because you gain the bonus either attack bar or attack buff. So for Light Tanjiro, getting enemy to attack him with skill 1, not too bad. That is a pretty good bonus in the skill 3 right there. So I think this is a decent buff for the Light Tanjiro and the Fire Tanjiro. Water Zenitsu. All right, let's see what is the change here. Will now increase attack power by 35% whenever you attack an enemy under an ability effect. So more bar increase, more turn cycling, but pretty much the same unit. Light Series will now increase our attack speed by 50 each and up to 250. Oh my god, she can stack speed like crazy and faster at the same time. But would that really change her whole identity? Probably not. So she's going to be the same unit, but whatever she's doing for you, she's going to do that a little bit better. So she belongs in a fight that doesn't really end immediately to fully utilize the passive. And then she can be like super fast and do crazy damage with additional damage by speed artifact, for example, like a great bruiser unit. Trish Light. Wait, they're buffing this unit? I thought she's already like kind of good. Trish Light. She will now inflict 2 continuous damage for 1 turn whenever she attacks the enemy, instead of 1 continuous damage for 2 turns. So 2 turn dot will be the same amount of damage as 2 1-turn dot, but 2 1-turn dot will kill them faster. So that's pretty cool. But is that super important? I'm not too sure. Desert Queen win. Whoa, they're buffing Hathor again. So many buff and still nobody uses unit. They take out the anti-cleanse of Hathor, and they put an increased skill cooldown of enemy target by 1 turn. So if you use that on like a cleanser, when they get out of sleep, they don't have the cleansing skill. But then you cannot block the enemy from cleansing like the Hathor, for example. Is that cool? I'm not too sure. I don't see any Hathor user out there to really verify. I got hit with Hathor once like many moons ago, and I was using Juno, and she blocked my Juno cleansing. That was kind of crazy, but now she can't do that anymore. And then Hathor's usually used with Ganymede, so does she really need the increased cooldown tab? I'm not too sure as well, but maybe that's gonna mean something. Omni Yaji win. They're buffing Gyo. She will now increase the skill activation rate by 40% whenever you attack the suppressed monster. 40%? So her defense break was 60%. With the extra chance, it was 80%, and now it is going to be 100%. I have always thought that when you attack a suppressed monster, it is 100%, but I guess it's not. So they're buffing it to make sure that when you hit a suppressed monster, you're gonna land that defense break all the freaking time. Amazing. Great buff for the RNG meta. Let's go. Art Master Fire. Oh wow. This attack cannot be countered to change into increase the attack power of all allies by 15%. Okay, buddy. So in the past, he was very strong because he buffed speed. But then now he straight up buff attack bar, which is kind of cool as well. So you can build your follow-up unit a bit slower, and he will be a new strip into attack bar increase unit, which is not very common, by the way. So if you have your best Swift on the Fire Art Master, he can strip attack buff and then increase attack bar. And he can also seal a unit if you happen to have like a RNG thing ready to go anytime. The Fire Art Master meta might be coming back. And I'm not joking. Might be coming back. The Cleave CC meta with Fire Art Master might be coming back. That attack bar increase so that you can build this guy a best Swift is something else. Oh my god. That is the winner of the balance patch. Potentially right there, guys. Right fucking there. Wow. He make Woyang look like shit. Art Master Dark. Master of Devil will now have threat state that lasts 3 times instead of 2 times. Alright. Not really changing the unit that much. Another change that make whatever the unit is doing a little bit better, but then the unit is not doing anything for anybody. So like, what's the fucking point? Just change the fucking unit identity, please. Dokkaebi Lord Fire will now inflict 3 turn dot whenever attack the enemy. Hey, I take that. I fucking love Fire Dokkaebi Lord. I didn't think he needed a buff, but he's getting a buff anyway. So that's pretty cool. More dot damage from my boy Fire Dokkaebi Lord. Mage Fire will now recover HP by the counter attack damage down. Oh, that's pretty cool, making her a little bit more self-sustained, but I don't think that's going to be too important. The damage output is going to be the same, but if you revenge with a counter attack when they attack you, when you have the floating orb behind you, you heal back a little bit. Mage Wind will now have the damage cannot be increased above 70% at once. So if you have a lot of multi-hit and team up, you can boost the damage of the mage wind a bit faster, but then the unit's pretty much the same. Nothing crazy. Tomb Warden Fire. Whoa! Attack all enemies and remove one beneficial effect with 70% chance and decrease their defense with a 50% chance. Okay, so better strip chance for the Fire Tomb Warden. Very low base speed though, a bit hard to use, but welcomed. Tomb Warden Wind will counter attack with a 100% chance when attack. Not too bad. Not too bad for the Wind Tomb Warden. I like the counter attack and the provoke thing. It's pretty cool. Tomb Warden Water Wind Light will now have lower cooldown on the Coffin Badge, which is the anti-revive hit. Not too bad. Kind of cool as well. Tomb Warden Light will now increase the HP of the enemy that gain a turn to 15%. Oh, so a bit stronger of the dot that cannot be cleansed by Tomb Warden Light, but nobody used that unit anyway, so not sure it's gonna be worth it. Tomb Warden Dark will now recover health whenever the cherished tombstone is on the ally side to start the turn. So whenever someone die, he popped the tombstone, the Dark Tomb Warden, he self-heal, so he survive a bit longer. But nobody used these units anyway. The mechanic is just not very exciting. Pirate Captain Win will now have increased damage by 35% for each harmful effect on the enemy. Oh. But no attack bar increase though. Because when you have the attack bar increase and then you do the shoot, you will gain more bar because of the shooting skill. So you almost gain a full turn. But now you have damage scale with debuff. So it's going to be more relevant in PvE, like if you're using him in giants, raid bosses, then he's going to do more damage, which is kind of cool. But you don't get the nice, almost a full turn when you're done with skill 3. Pirate Captain Water Wind Light Pirate Strike will leave a branding effect for 1 turn. Ooh! So the Wind Pirate Captain can brand, defense break, and do damage at scale with debuff in the same skill. Wow, very strong wind unit right there. And Galleon can also brand. That is cool, I guess. That is kind of cool. If he Violent Crafter, he do the time to loot, he can brand the unit. So whatever follow-up you're using is going to hit even harder. Espresso Cookie Water Wind Dark will now freeze all enemies for 1 turn with a 50% chance. Okay, so increasing the chance of stun for the Water Wind Dark unit. They're not really relevant in siege defense at all, so maybe this is going to make them do that, potentially. Dark Black Tea Bunny Espresso Cookie will now decrease enemy attack bar with midnight time. Okay, kind of cool. Maybe she's going to be relevant in siege defense, maybe, but no defense breaks, so not very cool. Overall, I think the patch did not really touch the unit that are super popular in the RTA meta. For example, Water Twin Angel, Irene, Oliver, and then yeah, they don't really do any of that. They are trying to do the buff auto unit to counter those potentially with Cigar. Base speed buff is going to be on par with Irene, so easier to counter Irene maybe. And they're buffing like Segment is also an Irene counter, and those units can also counter the Oliver, the Water Twin if you outspeed them. But if you outspeed them, that is a big question. And then I think the biggest winner could be the Fire Art Master, who gained the attack bar boost. So another candidate for being on Swift, that can be kind of scary. We have the Wind Layla, the Wind Devil Maiden, which I really enjoy using, so that's gonna be pretty cool. LD5, I don't think there's gonna be any new crazy LD5. Maybe the Dark Shadowcaster is gonna be the new candidate for the new broken LD5 in the meta. You see what they do with Miying. Light Tanjiro, maybe there's some crazy potential right there. But overall, I don't think the meta is gonna shake up a whole lot. But a lot of people are also saying that the current RTA meta is the healthiest meta we've ever had, because you can play with whatever. But I don't know, man. It's okay, I guess. I like changes, especially the speed one. So there'll be many things we're going to be playing with. And that's all I care about anyway for every balance patch. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. And I'll see you guys in the balance patch testing day. Coming soon on the channel at 9. All right, I'm just kidding. Bye-bye.